Monday. For those of you just joining, I'm going to give it a few minutes for the Facebook algorithms to catch up with us. If you are joining in, don't forget to share the video. I do a draw every week for the cards that we're going to make tonight. I will send those out to one lucky winner, and all you have to do to enter the draw is share this video. I am so glad to be back. It has been a 2-week hiatus. For that, I apologize. We had just a whole lot going on. My full-time job got in the way, and then unfortunately last Monday we put down our 13-year-old dog, who was my baby, my heart. It's been crushing and devastating, and thank goodness for makeup you can't tell that I still cry pretty regularly over her. I'm not gonna go there because I will get all teary. But it's been a hard loss, and adapting has been a challenge. Normally when I go live, she would be under my desk at my feet, and I still feel that emptiness. So that's why I wasn't here last week. And actually, this is the first night in about as long 2 weeks that I've actually had the chance to craft. And so for that, I am eternally grateful. Crafting has always been my solace, my way to escape, to just find a way back to me and, let the stresses of the day fade away. And I had lost that over the last week. So I'm glad to be back in my stamps studio tonight. So if you're joining, thank you. I appreciate it. And we'll move away from the sappy sentimental and get into some crafting fun. So tonight we are going to make 2 cards, both of them featuring the new Sweet as a Peach stamp set, which I haven't actually played with yet, other than the happy birthday sentiment that comes in the stamp. So I'm excited to show you what I've come up with. I'm going to flip the camera around and we're going to get crafty. All right, so for those of you that have a catalog, page 61 is where you're going to find this suite of products, and it is an entire collection, which is fabulous. So you'll see on page 60 actually the suite itself. And so the suite contains the stamp set, the dies, the designer series paper, and the mini jam jars. So you can get all of those things for $77.50, and you're just going to use this item number here to get everything, so you don't have to enter them all individually. And you know what? I'm noticing that my camera is really glitchy, so give me a second. I'm going to see if I can make it not so glitchy. Give me one sec. Okay, hopefully that's a little bit better. We'll see as we go along. All right, so then the next page actually shows you in a little more detail some of the items. So you can see the mini jam jars featured here. And the light's really bad on that glare, sorry. And then we have the stamp set, which contains 20 pieces. And then the dies are shown here at the bottom. So it's a really cute bundle. And as soon as I saw it when the catalog came out, I knew I had to have it. And then also included in the bundle is the designer series papers. So let me move the catalog. So if you can see my placemat here. So this is a sampler I did of the designer series paper. My light is really bright. Sorry guys. I'm just gonna try and turn it down a notch. There we go. So you can see it's 6 pieces of paper, double-sided, and you get 2 of each piece. So we've got some big peaches with some greenery, some itty-bitty little peaches, and then we've got on the balmy blue background some dots. We've got some flowers and stripes, and then some more peaches and dots, and then some peach blossoms and some fun greenery in the back here. And then these are the coordinating colors that go with the designer series paper. So we have balmy blue, bumblebee, calypso coral, early espresso, mango melody, pale papaya, pear pizzazz, and petal pink. So those all coordinate with the designer series paper. And what I love is that you can then mix and match those colors and know that they're going to work well together. So let's get crafting. Now, to decide which one I want to start with, let's go with this one. So this is our first card, and it is actually a fun fold. I don't actually know what it's called. I think it's just an easel card. You can see that it sits up. So when your recipient receives the card, it's going to sit on their mantle or their table, and they can display that to their guests now that things are opening back up here in Ontario. So this card was actually inspired by Michelle from Michigan. She had done something similar, and it was just a regular card, and I decided to turn it into this fun fold. So let me show you how we did that. So I'm going to start with a piece of thick basic white, and this piece is 11 by 4 1/4, and I'm going to pull in my trimmer because we're going to do some scoring. So our trimmer has 2 blades on it. If you are new to Stampin' Up, the dark blade is your cutting blade, and then the light blade is your scoring blade. So I'm just going to push the cutting blade to the top. And then what I love about our trimmer compared to some of the others on the market is you can cut a full card base on the trimmer without having to open the arm. You can see my light reflecting there, so I apologize. So what I want to do is I want to score this at 5 1/2, and that's going to be our fold in half. And then we're also going to score it, if I back it up, at 2 3/4. So this is what's going to help us create that easel. So if you can see those score lines, I don't know if the glare on the camera is going to allow for that. I don't think it is. Sorry guys. But I'm not sure why my lighting is so off tonight. There are some score lines on there. So the score lines just allow you to be able to fold the card a little bit easier, so you can actually kind of see the score line there. So this is your center fold. So it just folds the base in half. And then you want to burnish your edge with your bone folder. Just give it that nice crisp fold. And then we're going to do the same thing with that lower score line. So this is actually right in half of that front panel. So we're just going to do a mountain fold. And again, we're going to use our bone folder to burnish the edge just to get that nice crisp fold. So you should end up with something like that. And then we can put that to the side because we're not going to use that right away. So next, we're going to pull in a piece of pale papaya. So again, if we go back to our DSP here, pale papaya is one of the colors that coordinates, so that's why I've pulled that in. And this piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And we're not going to attach that just yet, but what we are going to do is we're going to use this piece of Designer Series paper. So this is this piece here. It's got the green on the back. And we're going to attach that at the bottom. And this piece is 3 3/4 by, I want to say 2 7/8, but don't quote me on that. By 3. So 3 3/4 by 3. And I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal to attach that. So this is going to go along the bottom of our pale papaya. It should leave about a 1/16 of an inch, or an 1/8 of an inch, excuse me, border along the 2 sides and bottom. So it should be nice and centered in there. Again, sorry for the lighting. There we go. And we're going to use that sort of as our guideline for our stamping. So I am using the Sweet as a Peach, and I am going to use the Hope Your Day Is As. So those are my 2 stamps for the front here. And then I'm going to stamp in Calypso Coral. So once again, going back to our DSP, this is a coordinating color. So that's why I've chosen it. And so I'm going to ink my Sweet as a Peach stamp first. And we're going to stamp that above the DSP onto the cardstock directly. And I've left about a 1/4 of an inch, maybe even a 1/2 inch gap, because we're going to put some ribbon there, so you want to leave room for the ribbon to come in. So now I'm doing the same thing with the Hope Your Day Is As. So I'm in the Calypso Coral, and I apologize if you get my head in the camera for a moment. So I'm just lining that up over top of the Sweet as a Peach. So there we have our sweet as a peach sentiment. And I'm going to close my ink because I will stick my hand in it. And now we want to tie that ribbon. So this is the Pale Papaya sheer ribbon. And again, the camera is really not. I'm going to play with my light again. Hang on. No. There we go. So you can see it's that beautiful Pale Papaya ribbon. That's super sheer. So easy to play with. And I realized I didn't grab that, so I'm going to turn around really quick and grab that off my rack. So there's that ribbon. And I am going to use my handy dandy bow maker. Hi Nina, hi Debbie, hi Michelle. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to share. And so I'm just going to tie a bow. And I want it towards the one side more than the other. So you can see I have a longer tail on the one side than the other. And that's because I want to be able to wrap it around and have the bow at the side. But I do want it to cover all the way around. So you can see on my sample here, I didn't take into account the fact that it wasn't going to be hidden by the base. And so there's a little bit of a gap there. So I don't want that to happen on the one that I'm going to send out. So I've made it a little bit longer. So what I'm going to do is what I like to do, and I'm going to grab a glue dot first. So these are actually left over from a paper pumpkin. So I'm just going to pull one of these off. And I'm going to stick it right at the top of the DSP where it meets the cardstock. Peel off the back. And I'm going to put the knot of the bow right on top of it, just to hold it in place while I turn this over. And we're going to wrap our ends around the back of the card so that they overlap, like so. Now normally I say less is more when it comes to your adhesive, but in this case, because I want it to be completely secure, I'm going to use a little bit more than I normally would. And actually, I don't like that placement, so I'm just going to peel it off. So what I want it to do is actually line up with the top of the DSP. Like so. All right. And then once you've got that tucked around the side, or the back I should say, I'm just going to put another strip of adhesive over top of the one piece, and then I'm just going to give it a trim to finish it off. There we go. So there is our layer. So that can now get attached to our base. And to attach, we're only going to attach the bottom portion. So on this lower level, so that when you open the card, it pops up like an easel. And so I'm just going to put my adhesive right along the sides and the bottom, leaving a gap because of course it's not going to come all the way to the bottom, and then right across the top at the fold line, and maybe a dab in the middle. And then I like to keep my base closed for this so that I can line it up and make sure that I have a nice centered positioning, and then just give it a rub to make sure that it's secured really well. So there we have our easel. So you can see that mechanism's already working. So that's great. But of course we need it to stand up, and it's not going to do that on its own. So what I have done is I've actually created a little stopper using our greeting. So pull that in. So this is the happy birthday. And I'm going to stamp in mango this time. And the reason is, a great rule of thumb is to use the same color at least twice. You don't ever want to use one color and not have it coordinate. So we're going to pull in the mango for this. I'm just going to ink up that happy birthday. I'm going to stamp it on my scrap of basic white. And you can see it's just a scrap doesn't really matter because we are going to cut this out. So to cut it out, I'm going to pull in the Tasteful Labels dies. And you can see that I use these dies a lot because they no longer stick to the card base. And this is the die we are using. So it's going to fit right around our sentiment. And we're going to use that in the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So that's right here to my side. I'm just going to flip myself around so I can cut this out. And you'll actually see that I've got some itty bitty bits of paper on my cutting plate, so I'm just going to scratch those off. If you go to cut and you don't clean off those little bits of paper, what will happen is they'll actually create an embossed image on the piece that you're cutting, which, I mean, that looks really good, but if that's not the look you're going for, you want to make sure you clean those bits off before you run it through the machine. So there is our happy birthday. And so to attach this, we're just going to use Stampin' Dimensionals, and this is an almost empty sheet. I like to use all my little bits, so I've cut some of the foam to fit. And it's double-sided, so you just peel off the backs if you've never used these before. So, and now they're sticky, and we can go ahead and stick that on our base. So I'm going to put it towards the right side at the bottom there. So now that holds our card in place, that little pop-up, so that it can easily be displayed. But of course we're not done yet. We need to add something to this space. It looks kind of bare. So again, I'm going to pull in a scrap. And we're going to pull in our peach image, and we're going to pull in the large individual leaves. And so for this, we're going to use Mango Melody and Calypso Coral for our peach. I'm going to show you how we're doing this. Hi Pat, thanks for joining. So this is a rock and roll technique, and I'm just going to clean off my stamp because I didn't do that before. So this is an oldie but a goodie, and it's really easy. So you always want to start with your lighter color, in this case my mango, and then I'm going to bring in the Calypso Coral, and I just want to rock the edges in that Calypso Coral. So now when I stamp off once, you can see that I get just a kiss of the darker color around the edges of the peach, making it look a little more realistic. Again, sorry, turn my light down, see if that works. So there's our little, there we go, our little peach. So of course there's dies to make this easier to cut out. So I'm going to close up my 2 inks here, but before I do that, I'm going to stamp our leaves so that I can cut them at the same time. And so for our leaves, I want Pear Pizzazz, again, to tie in our colors. And then there's a little stem here, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Write marker to ink that part of the stem so that I can stamp it all at once. So all I'm doing is keeping the stem that's on the side here off the ink pad. So I'm getting the leaves only, and then I'm going to come in with the brush tip of a Stampin' Write marker. This is soft suede, and I'm just going to color that stem. And when I stamp, I've now stamped in 2 colors. So I've got the Pear Pizzazz leaves and the soft suede stem. Again, sorry, the lighting is horrible tonight. And I'm going to close those up because, again, I'll stick my hands in them. So here are our adorable dies that coordinate with the set. So we're going to use our lovely giant peach and our leaves. And these will fit perfectly around our stamped images. If you don't have the dies and you only have the stamps, you can cut them out with your paper snips. The dies just make it a little bit easier, so you can see they fit perfectly. So I'm just going to run that through on the machine. That is fantastic. Makes life so much easier when you can cut them out quickly and efficiently, and hopefully not have them slide. So there is our peach and our leaf. Lovely. Toss my scraps in the recycling. All right. So we have our card base. So we're going to put our peach right over top of that ribbon. And again, I'm going to use dimensionals. So I'm going to pull my scraps. Got to use every last little bit. Pull off my backs. And we're going to put that right over the ribbon, and then we're going to use the same little bits with our stems here. And I'm going to tuck that stem into the top of the peach. And there's our leaves. And of course, we need some bling-a-bling, and I thought for this card, the opal rounds would be perfect. But of course I've buried them, so hang on one second, let me find them. There we are. So here are the opal rounds. These are absolutely beautiful. Ugh. Let's see if this is better. There they are. If you can see in the top corner there, there's the opals. So they really do look like the delicate gems. They're beautiful. And we're just going to put a couple above our peach here, and then one more down below in the center of our flower. So there is our first card of the evening. What do you think? So don't forget to share for your chance to win this card and the one that we are going to make next. So we're continuing along with our Sweet as a Peach. I'm really liking this card. I had so much fun creating this one. And I'm just going to put that to the side. So our next card is this one here. So again, I'm using the Designer Series paper from the Sweet, and it's this piece here that we're using. And I'm going to use the piece with the polka dots. So this is Balmy Blue is our coordinating color. And so our base is once again thick basic white, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, so it's our standard quarter fold. I'm going to fold that in half, give it a rub with the bone folder to get that nice crisp edge. And then this is the DSP. I have cut it out using the Scalloped Contours dies, which I kept out just so you could see them. So you can see it's a beautiful collection of these scalloped rectangles. And so I used the largest one here to cut out the piece we're using. These pieces layer beautifully inside one another, but they work well by themselves as well. So those are the Scalloped Contour dies. And so you'll notice that there's some little bits still in here. So I'm just going to use my take your pick tool to poke those out. If you are new to crafting, or even if you're experienced and you don't yet have a take your pick tool, you should definitely consider adding it to your collection because it is fabulous on so many levels. So we are going to attach this right to our base using our seal. And you can see it does fill in a good portion of the base. So you just want to try and center it as best as possible, like so. And then next we have another piece of basic white, and this is just our regular basic white, not the thick. And it is 2 7/8 by 4 1/4. And this is what we're going to stamp on. So in this case, we are going to use a couple different stamps. So we've got the 3 little peaches. We have the cluster of leaves. And then I have the little teeny tiny flowers. I don't know if you can see those. And then we're going to use the thanks so much as our sentiment. So I'm just going to switch out some stamps here. All right. So once again, I'm going to stamp in Mango Melody. I'm not doing the rock and roll technique this time. And actually I'm going to stamp in my Pear Pizzazz first. So I'm going to stamp my leaves first, and I'll show you why. You just want to ink those up in your Pear Pizzazz. We're going to stamp full strength, so you don't have to stamp off. And then we're going to stamp in the upper right corner, and it's okay if your leaves hang off the cardstock a little bit. So you'll notice there are some gaps in the image, and that's because those little peaches are going to fit in there. So here's my mango. So we're going to ink up our peaches. And we are going to stamp those in where the gaps are. Like so. How cute is that? Gosh, I just love these little peaches. They're just so cute. And then I'm going to take it one step further, and I'm going to fill in with the Balmy Blue. And again, this is just to tie that color together. Remember I said you never want to have just once. So I'm going to use the Balmy Blue, and I'm just going to add some little peach blossoms around our peaches. So you can see them hiding there. Maybe one more. There we go. And then I am going to stamp our greeting also in the Balmy Blue. And this is going to go at the bottom. Like so. Pull my ink out of there so I don't make a mess. And then I'm going to pull in our basic white baker's twine. So what I like to do is not cut it off the spool to start. So I'm just going to pull out a good length. And then I'm going to wrap it around my piece 3 times. And you can judge how much of the twine you actually need before you cut. So I like that. I'm going to tie an overhand knot, and that just secures my twine in place. So now when I go back in to tie my bow, it's not going to move all over the place. And I can cut the end of my twine, as I unroll it again, and now I can tie my bow. So pretty. There we go. So there's our twine, there's our sentiment. Apparently I smudged the cardstock, but that's okay. We're going to cover it with an embellishment. So to attach this to our base, we're going to use dimensionals once again. I finished up my itty bits, so I've got a fresh sheet here. So this is what they look like when they're new. They're these little hexagons. And we just peel off those backs. I am loving this stamp set. Apparently I'm having issues with the backs. There we go. So we're going to try and center that in the middle of our DS piece. There we go. And then I dropped my embellishments, so I'm going to grab those real quick. There we go. So these are our in color gems. They are so pretty. With my lighting messed up, I don't think you're going to get the full effect of what they look like. Minus the dog hair. So they're in all 5 of the new ink colors: Polished Pink, Pale Papaya, Evening Evergreen, Fresh Freesia, and Soft Succulent. Sorry, they fell on the floor and now they're covered in dog hair. We're going to use the Pale Papaya, again, to coordinate with our colors. So I'm going to put an embellishment over my little smudge, and then I'm going to put 2 more below our peaches. And there we have our second card of the evening. So what do you think? Not too crazy complicated. Super pretty. At least I think they're super pretty, but I might be a little bit biased. And you know what? We still have time. It's only 8:30. So I did pull in the mini jam jars. I haven't used these yet. I actually just opened the box. So let's see what we can do with these. These are super cute, by the way. They would be great to store embellishments. They are food safe, but they are not heat safe. So you cannot actually can in them, just so you know. So in the catalog, what they had done is they covered the tops with the DSP just by cutting a circle that's slightly larger and then slitting the edges and then tying the baker's twine around them, which is super cute, but I think we can do more than that. So let's see what we can do. I am going to let's see, what paper do I want? I don't like that. Nah, maybe I do. No, we're gonna go with this one. Yes. All right, so what I am going to do, I'm just gonna grab a pencil, or not. I'm gonna trace a circle because I just want to cover the top of the lid. I don't actually want to wrap it. And I'm going to grab one of my old circle punches. Let's see if this works. I think I guessed right. So this is the old 2-inch circle punch, which sadly retired. Oh, look at that. Fits perfectly. All right, so let's use our seal to cover this up. So there's the top. Loving it. All right, let's get some scraps of basic white. Let's do some stamping here. I think we need some of those peaches that we did on the first card. So I'm going to find a scrap that's big enough. And again, we're going to do mango and calypso. Hopefully you're still with me. It's been so long since I've crafted, I'm not ready to sign off yet. So again, we're going to ink in the light first. And then I'm just going to kiss the edges a little bit in the dark. Stamp off once before stamping. I don't like that. Let's do a do-over. I want to clean my stamp first. I think I picked something up on the ink pad, which caused it not to stamp very well. All right. Stamp. I'm okay with that. And then we need a leaf. So again, I've got my Pear Pizzazz, inking just the leaves. I'm pulling my Stampin' Right marker, my stem. Lovely. Let's cut those out. Did you all have a great weekend? Did you do anything exciting for Father's Day? In Ontario, there's still not a whole lot we can do, but we are no longer under stay-at-home orders, so at least we were able to get out to parks and things. We didn't do much. We weren't really in the mood for celebrating, but we did have, on Saturday, my parents came down, and I have to tell you, I haven't seen my parents in almost a year. They live in Peel region, which has been a hot spot since November of last year. Maybe even longer. And it was so good to see them. They just came down, we had a barbecue, so we sat outside, and it was my birthday on Friday, so we celebrated my birthday and Father's Day, and it was a good day. Alright, so I am thinking that we are going to attach our little peach to our jar. And again, we're going to use Stampin' Dimensionals here. And because this is going on the jar, I want to make sure that I have extra support. You guys are so quiet tonight. So there we have our peach. So now we're going to tuck our little stem on there. So we're going to do the same thing. The dimensional. So there's our cute little peach on our jar. Ah, I'm loving it. And we need a tag. So I think we're going to use that "thanks so much" again, but of course we want to tie it all together, so I think we're going to go Calypso Coral for this one. Stuck my thumb in it. I'm going to clean my stamp because I don't want that balmy blue in my Calypso Coral. Lovely. And I don't like, I think this piece is too wide. I'm going to trim it and restamp it. I have a piece of DSP stuck in my track. Ugh. It doesn't want to come out. There it goes. Alright, let's try this again. So we are at 3/4 of an inch, so let's go 1/2 an inch. This is another reason I love the trimmer, because you can get those tiny cuts and they're going to be perfect every time. Alright, so let's try this again. You still with me? And I apologize if you have my head in the shot for a moment. Just want to try and center that as best as possible. There we go. Lovely. And I'm going to tuck that in underneath. So I'm going to trim this side a little bit to make sure. Yes. And then you know me, I like banner flags, and I just realized you're going to be able to see the back side of that piece. So this is where we get creative. I'm going to grab another scrap and I'm going to attach it so I don't have to restamp it. I'm just going to cut that to 1/2 inch so it's the same width. Lovely. I feel like I'm so out of practice. It's kind of funny how, you know, after a week or even 2 weeks of not being creative and not being in my stamp room, I feel kind of foreign down here tonight. I'm glad to be back, don't get me wrong, it feels good, but it also feels kind of weird. So I'm just going to create those banner flag ends that I love so much. Lovely. And then we are going to tuck that in behind, like so. And what do I want to do that with? Let's do glue dot. All right, so as I get this ready, I have a couple of things coming up that are not yet up on my class website, and my website is still under construction, but the classes and the blog, card club, those pages are all open, so you can visit those pages to check out any upcoming events and register. So I'm just using my bone folder in behind the peach just to secure those glue dots. So there we have our cute little jam jar that you could fill with goodies, and it coordinates with our pop-up card. Look how cute that is. Love it. It's not going to stay because the tag is too heavy on the one side, but it coordinates perfectly. So yes, back to classes. Let me actually come back around and we can chat a little bit. Hi. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. I really appreciate it. I know it's I might be a little scattered tonight, and it's totally because I'm out of practice. 2 weeks of not doing lives, and I feel like I'm a newbie at this. So yeah, classes are on my website. They are accessible even though the website's still under construction. The person that I have doing the updates is taking longer than anticipated after some issues with it. So I've at least been able to get the classes, the blog, and card club up and running again. My summer retreat, yes, that's where I was going. So I had a momentary brain lapse. Summer retreat is open for registration. It takes place on August 21st. It is an all-day craft retreat. It is going to be so much fun. You're going to make 10 projects. You're going to get an exclusive bag. The bag that we did last time was fabulous, if I do say so myself. It's going to be filled with all the goodies you need to create the 10 projects throughout the day, which will be done in live videos on Facebook and Zoom. So if you're not on Facebook, you'll be able to do it on Zoom, and if you miss either of those, you'll be able to go back and watch them afterwards. You're also going to get some pillow gifts and maybe some other little surprises to make you smile, but it's a fun day. There will be additional add-on classes. I usually do a Stampin' bingo. So it's going to be tons of fun. So that is open for registration. There are 2 options if you live in Canada. So it's open to anyone, demonstrators, customers, whomever. If you're local to Mount Hope, Hamilton, you can pick up. Otherwise, you can ship, and there are choices. If you are outside of Canada and you still want to participate, the cost of shipping is prohibitive for me to be able to send you out the class kits, but you can still register, join in the group. You'll get to participate in the videos. I'll post a list of supplies. You'll get the tutorials for all the projects, so there will be PDF tutorials that you'll be able to use to create them yourself, and you just won't get the goodies like the bag and the pillow gift and the actual supplies, but you'll have the tutorials to be able to make it yourself. So there is that option as well if you're outside of Canada. So I'm excited for that. I also have a sampler class coming up. So that is in July. We're almost there. And it is going to actually feature this stamp set. So if you haven't seen a sampler before, it's a decor piece. So it's a 3D piece. I don't have my spring one down here. It's upstairs actually on my fireplace. I do have an old one that I can show you if you're not sure what a sampler is. Maybe I'll post a picture of it actually after the live. So it is a 9x9 sampler. It's meant to be a home decor piece. It fits perfectly in a 9x9 shadow box, which you can get the Reba at IKEA. It comes in black and white. It works perfectly. Or Michael's, if you're in Canada, also sells 9x9 shadow boxes. So it's a great class. It is done over Zoom, so it is a face-to-face virtual class. It's not a pre-recorded class like some of the others. But Sweet as a Peach is going to be the focus for that sampler class. The other class that I have, which is not yet up on my website, it's actually in the process, is going to be a kit class. So these are new. If you have been following along, you might have seen some updates about our new kits. So these are great for people who love to craft but maybe don't have the time to sit and design and prep and cut and. So these are all-inclusive kits. There's actually two types of kits. There are all-inclusive, and then there are some that you require some supplies. This is just one of them, so I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. And the kits are ever-changing as supplies last. So this is the Notes of Cheer kit. And again, with my light, I don't know. You know what? Let me take the cello off here. So then the glare won't be so bad. There we go. All right, so can you see that? Hopefully glare's not as bad. Look how beautiful those are. You got some like watercolors and butterflies, and they're just so pretty. This is just one of the kits, and it has full color, step-by-step instructions on how to assemble and everything you need inside. So this is actually not one of our all-inclusive kits. This is just a card kit. So you would need your own stamps, ink, and paper for this. Ooh. So we have envelopes with different liners. How pretty. Nina, you can't see? Oh, you're right. Sorry. Huh. Let's try that. Hi, Kaya. I forgot I flipped my camera around. Sorry, guys. So this is the kit. This is the fun little box. So this is the Notes of Kindness. Sorry, Notes of Cheer. How pretty is that? So it comes with everything you need. Like I said, it is not an all-inclusive, so it doesn't have the ink and the stamps. There's some embellishments. There's envelopes with liners. There are, let me get those out of the way, card bases. You've got some beautiful pre-printed elements. Look at this paper. Look how beautiful that is. It's so pretty. There's some laser cut details. And then actually this one doesn't even have stamping. You have pre-printed sentiments in English, French, German, and Dutch. How fantastic is that? Some more laser cuts and then some more labels to create those cards. So this is just one of the examples. For the class, what's going to happen is you are going to purchase a kit. You can pick from any of the kits that are available, and then we will have a Zoom, a virtual class where we will work on the kits together, and I will be available to help with any assembling that might need further instructions or clarifications that the instructions aren't really clear on. But again, it's a fun night out. Get your craft on. You don't have to have a ton of supplies because everything's going to come in the kit right to your door. It's sort of like a paper pumpkin, but there's more variety and you get to see what the kit contains ahead of time. So that is going up on the website hopefully tonight and will take place in July. So that is everything for tonight. I'm going to flip around again. If you are still with me, again, I thank you all for joining me. I appreciate you sticking with me. And I will be back next Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern for more crafting. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. Have a great week.